A strange thing is happening to millions of people. The more entertainment we have, the less entertained we feel. The more rewards we get, the less rewarding they become. The more stimulation we consume, the harder it becomes to stay interested in ordinary life. So what happened? Why does everything feel boring now? The answer lies in a part of your brain that's been quietly rewiring itself for years. In this video, we'll explore 12 dopamine-friendly habits that almost nobody talks about that can make a surprisingly big difference in how motivated, focused, and energized you feel throughout the day. Let's start with one that sounds completely backwards. Leave one task deliberately incomplete. Most people end their workday by trying to finish everything they can. That seems logical, but imagine two writers. The first writer finishes every sentence, wraps up every idea, and closes the document feeling complete. The second writer stops while still knowing exactly what comes next. Maybe halfway through a paragraph, maybe with notes for the next section. The next morning, who do you think starts faster? Usually the second person. Their brain already has momentum. There's no need to figure out where to begin. The task is already moving. Your brain naturally wants closure. When something feels unfinished, a small amount of attention remains attached to it. Instead of ending every work session at a dead stop, try leaving yourself a clear next step. You may be surprised by how much easier it feels to continue tomorrow. Create tiny uncertainty in your week. Most adults have predictable routines. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. Routine is useful, but there's a hidden downside. The brain responds strongly to novelty and anticipation. This is one of those topics where opinions differ. For some people, routines provide structure and consistency. For others, they feel restrictive and draining. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer here, so choose what works best for your personality and lifestyle. With that said, let's get back to the habit. When every day looks identical, life can begin to feel mentally flat even when nothing is technically wrong. You don't need a vacation to fix this. You need small doses of uncertainty. Take a different route home. Order something you've never tried before. Visit a place you've never visited. Listen to a podcast outside your usual interests. These tiny changes create anticipation. And anticipation is one of the most overlooked sources of dopamine. Sometimes your brain doesn't need excitement. It simply needs something new to look forward to. Stop working before you're exhausted. Most people quit when their energy is gone. By that point, their brain associates work with depletion. The next day, work feels harder to begin because the memory attached to it is exhaustion. Try ending important work while you still have a little energy left. Not a lot, just enough. Leave the session feeling capable rather than drained. This creates a subtle psychological effect. Instead of remembering how tired you felt, your brain remembers that you still had something left to give. You begin the next session with less resistance and more momentum. Build a proof of progress archive. One strange thing about the human brain is how quickly it forgets progress. Think about something you struggled with 3 years ago that feels easy today. You probably don't think about that improvement very often. Your brain adapts so quickly that yesterday's achievement becomes today's normal. This can create the feeling that you're not growing even when you are. A simple solution is creating what could be called a proof of progress archive. Save positive messages, save achievements, save completed projects, save screenshots of milestones, save before and after comparisons. Once a week, spend a few minutes reviewing them. You're reminding your brain that progress is real, and few things create motivation more effectively than evidence. Make good habits impossible to avoid. When people want better habits, they usually focus on motivation. But motivation is unreliable. Imagine two people who want to read more. One keeps books hidden in a drawer, the other leaves a book on their pillow every morning. Who is more likely to read? The second person. Not because they're more disciplined, because the habit requires less effort to start. The same principle works for almost everything. Leave the water bottle visible. Keep healthy snacks accessible. Open tomorrow's work document before ending today. Make good decisions easier than bad decisions. Your brain loves convenience. Use that to your advantage. Send messages to your future self. Most people treat every day like a fresh start. The problem is that every fresh start requires fresh decisions, and decisions consume mental energy. Before ending your workday, leave a message for tomorrow's version of yourself. Write down exactly what needs to happen next. Not a big plan, not a detailed strategy, just one clear instruction. Open the presentation and finish slide 3. Walk for 10 minutes before breakfast. Review page 20. The next day, you're continuing instead of starting. And continuing is far easier than starting. Create more finishing moments. A lot of modern work has no obvious finish line. You answer emails all day, the inbox fills again. You complete one project, 3 more appear. The brain enjoys completion, but many adults rarely experience it. So create more opportunities to finish things. Organize one shelf, clear one folder, complete one small task entirely. Not because those tasks are life-changing, because completion itself is rewarding. Your brain needs occasional reminders that effort can lead to an ending. Delay rewards instead of removing them. Many productivity systems focus on eliminating rewards, no social media, no entertainment, no distractions. The problem is that extreme restriction often fails. Instead of removing rewards, try delaying them. Want to watch a video? Want to check social media? Wait 15 minutes. Something interesting happens during that delay. Anticipation begins to build. And anticipation itself can create dopamine. You learn to enjoy looking forward to rewards instead of constantly consuming them. Keep an emergency when ready. Everyone has low energy days. Days when motivation disappears. Days when even simple tasks feel annoying. On those days, most people do nothing. The problem is that doing nothing often creates more resistance. Instead, keep one ridiculously easy win available at all times. Something that takes less than a minute. Reply to one email, water a plant, delete old files. Tidy one surface. The task isn't important. The victory is. Small wins remind your brain that action is still possible. And action tends to create more action. Rotate effort instead of constantly switching tasks. Many people think they're taking breaks when they switch tasks. In reality, they're often just switching stress. One moment they're checking email, then messaging someone, then working, then scrolling, then returning to work. The brain never settles. Instead, try rotating effort levels, do something demanding, then something moderate, then something easy. The activity changes, but the attention remains organized. This allows recovery without constantly chasing novelty. Always have something to look forward to. Children often have built-in anticipation. A birthday, a holiday, a weekend outing. Adults slowly lose this. Life becomes a series of responsibilities with very little expectation of future rewards. Yet anticipation is one of the strongest dopamine drivers. Always keep something ahead of you. A book you're excited to read, a meal you're planning, a weekend project, a walk in the evening. Something small is enough. The goal isn't excitement, it's expectation. Your brain works better when it believes something enjoyable is coming. Let your environment remind you. People rely on memory far more than they should. The problem is that memory is unreliable. Your environment can remember things for you. Leave your notebook open. Place running shoes near the door. Keep your water bottle on the desk. Put healthy food where you'll see it first. As Atomic Habits explains it, every visible object becomes a cue, and cues reduce decision-making. When your environment supports your habits, motivation becomes less important. Why these habits work so well? What's interesting about all of these habits is that none of them require more hours in the day. They don't require waking up at 5 in the morning. They don't require a complicated productivity system, and they don't require extraordinary willpower. They simply work with the way the brain already operates. They create anticipation. They create progress. They create completion. They reduce friction. They make useful actions easier to repeat. And that's what dopamine is really helping you do. Not feel pleasure, repeat behaviors that matter. If there's one lesson to take away from this video, it's that motivation isn't always about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about designing your life so your brain naturally wants to continue. None of these habits are dramatic, but that's exactly why they work. The habits that change your life are often the ones small enough to repeat. If you found this video genuinely useful and discovered at least one dopamine habit you'll start using this week, consider giving the video a like. And if you enjoy practical psychology, neuroscience-backed habits, focus, self-discipline, and simple systems that actually fit into real life, subscribe to Simple Ways of Life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.